Hey guys, welcome again to Identity Conversations with Rejoice Azuka Uwuseba. I'm so sorry for the long break that we had. It's just been a season of transition for me, and I've been trying to settle in. And here we are, we're back, and we're running this series concurrently with another series called Intentional Growth. So if you are just joining this channel, welcome. But please go and like, subscribe, and comment, and actually even go on and watch the intentional growth series. It is going to reshape the way you see yourself, the way you see life, and bring you to the place of intentionality about growth. So here is another episode of Identity Conversations with Rejoice. The truth is this, right? Your Christian selfhood is not defined in terms of who we are in ourselves or of ourselves. So ourselves as Christians, we're not defined by who we are, what we've achieved. That's not the definition. That's not how we see us. That's not how we should define us. But rather, we should define us in terms of what God has created us to be, what God does in us, the relationship He creates with us, and the destiny He appoints for us. So our identity should not be centered in us or in what we have or what we could achieve, but in what God does to us, the relationship He creates with us, what He has created us for, and the destiny He has appointed for us. So God made us who we are so that we could make known who He is. I'll repeat this again so that you will never forget it. God made us who we are so that we could make known who He is. So that means that the tendency to find our identity outside of Him will be there. But we now have to consciously make that decision to say, listen, God made me for Himself. You know that scripture that tells us that these people have I formed for myself to show for my praise, right? So God has made us who we are to make known who He is. So identity is for the sake of making known His identity, and that means that we can know ourselves by knowing Him. We can see ourselves by seeing Him. We can live our lives around Him, around His picture for us, around the future that He has intended for us, around the life that He has created for us to have, and not otherwise, right? So, if we're honest with ourselves, the truth is that we often feel insecure. We all feel insecure, really. There's something that you're insecure about, whether it is your looks, whether it is how people respond to you, how people see you, how people partner with you. There's something somewhere that is making us insecure. And the truth is that it is related to our identity. And the truth is, the more you try to hide it, the more you feel it. The more you try to disconnect yourself from the reality that it exists, the more you feel it. But the truth of the matter, the conclusion of this whole matter is our insecurity. It's an invitation from God to escape the danger of a false belief system, of a false life system about who we are, and finding the true peace in who He is. So I now come to the conclusion that my identity is not really about me, but is about Him. It's about me finding me in Him, finding the version of God that I am sent to explore. I don't know if I've shared this in one of the episodes, but vulnerable moment right here. A time came in my life where everything about me was centered around ministry. And if I was not doing ministry, I felt like I wasn't living. And, God began to bring it to my attention because even in times when God would call me to take a retreat, I was struggling to let go of the very ministry that He gave me because I felt that I needed to be present for ministry to work. And I remember vividly one day God asked me, He said, "Do you love these people more than I love them?" And it really baffled me because I'm like, I don't love them as much as you do. I mean, you went to the cross, you died, your blood is the reason why they're here. So I can't even love them half as much as you love them. I only love them to the capacity that you've given me to love them. And in that moment, he asked me to let go. He asked me to surrender. And maybe you feel like maybe I said I surrender in that moment and that was it. But I still realized over time that I had control issues. So intentionally, I kept cutting off myself from everything that I held on to dearly as a source of identity within ministry. So much so that even now, if God calls me away for 3 months to stay with Him for 2 years, I would, and I will trust that the ministry that He has given will be fully taken care of. Now, many of us who may be ministers listening to me right now, you may be in the same boat as I was, where I made ministry my identity. For some of us, it may be our jobs, your career, what you're building, the company that you're trying to build as an entrepreneur. You may decide to, see your life based on the lenses of what you're building with your life, how much money you have in your account. For some of us, it may be just this wedding ring, like your marital status. Oh, I'm married now, I'm this now, I'm that now. For some of us, it may be your singlehood. You don't feel like your identity is settled until you're married. And the truth is this, all of us have to go through this experience where we need to confront our insecurities. And we do not confront it with a false belief system, but with the peace of who God is. So, if the Bible tells me that I am made in God's image and likeness, it means that when I decide to find my identity in Him, I'm not losing my true self, but I'm only becoming my true self in Him. Everything may change so fast, as quickly as I snapped, in a blink, in a twinkle of an eye. Everything may just change. Everything may come differently. Everything may, the outcome of everything may be different. But the truth is this: can we dare to step out of the insecurity of who we could have been if we had a six-figure salary monthly, who we could have been if we were richer or poorer than we were, who we could have been based on the things around us, the way that people see us, the way that people respond to us? Or could we dare to step aside from how many people are following you on social media, how many people see your post on social media, how many people share your post on social media? Could we step away from all of that and find our identity in Him, so that our focus is redirected from here and now to Him that is eternal, that does not change? Situations may change, life may change, but He is constant. Your life situation may not be the same constantly, but He remains the same constantly. Today you may be single, tomorrow you are married, but how does that reshape how you see you? Because we spend all of our time and energy pursuing things or some things because we feel that they give us the accreditation, they give us the perspective of who we are. And so, even when God says let go, we struggle with letting go because we don't know how to not let go. We don't know how to release those things, release ourselves, and begin to see life from His lenses, to begin to see life from His perspective, to begin to even live life from how He has invited us to live, not how we want to live. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so, if you find your identity in Him, you will not be let down. If you find your identity in Him, you will remain constant in the inconstantness of life. The fact that life is not so constant will not hinder your ability to be constant, because your identity is not in things, but in Him. So, our identity is not saying I am a Christian, or saying I'm religious, or saying I am spiritual, but in the journey to finding our identity, it begins from understanding who God is, what He says about Himself, and how that translates to what He says about you. So, who is God? If I am made in God's image and likeness, if I carry His DNA on my inside, who is He? What does He say about Himself? Because as human beings, we are unable to adequately buttress the totality of who He is. We are limited in language, and so we have to borrow from that which He has given us about Himself. So, what is God saying about Himself? How does God see Himself? How does God look at Himself? How does God, do you understand? This is where our identity journey begins. And so it doesn't end there. It also goes further to know, what does He say about me? What does He say about me? Because the sum total of my identity, the sum total of your identity, is made in His image and likeness. So the question, who are you? It's such a deep question. But like Alice in Wonderland said, she said, Alice in Wonderland is a book written by Lewis Carroll, who says, and Alice responds to the question that the caterpillar asked her, who are you? She said, that's not an encouraging opening for a conversation. Alice replied rather sadly, shyly, I hardly know, sir, at the present. At least I know who I was when I got up this morning, but I think that has changed several times since then, because it was built around things. But we are made in His image and His likeness, and that is constant. And so when I wake up in the morning, I am the one that is being defined by identity, an identity that He has given to me. When I go to bed at night, that person is constant. My modality of expressing the identity that He has given to me may change, but the fullness of the identity, it doesn't change, it's constant. And so I take on the nature of the one that has made us in His image and His likeness, because He does not change, so I cannot change. And that's constant. That is absolutely constant. So, who are you? Have you been defining your life as around your career, around what people think about you, around what people say about you? What has been your definition of your identity? Have you built your life around that which can fizzle away in moments, or are you building a life around what God has said about you? Are you building your identity around what could change at just one blink, one twinkle of an eye, one snap of the finger? It changes, or are you building on that which is eternal? Think about it. Has your identity today that you're watching this changed several times already, or is it still the same constant that you had 2 weeks ago? Yes, it may evolve. Yes, light may come and you may know better, you may see better, you may understand better, but it's in growth. It's not just in what's in my account, or who I'm married to, or how the world sees me, or how many followers I have on social media. Imagine if God tells you to leave your social media account for 3 months. Would you feel like you've lost who you are? If God asked you to shut down that business for the next 2 years, would you still know who you are? If God asked you to shut down the ministry and delegate to someone else, would you feel like you're not enough? Because the concept of insecurity comes from the mindset of not being enough, of not meeting up to a standard that we've set for ourselves that is not in alignment with who God says that we are. It's a journey. It's a journey. I'll see you next week and we'll talk more about this subject of identity. Until I come your way next time. Bye for now.